Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Irna Rahayu. I'm from class B. And in this video, I will review a short story entitled Rose for Emily by William Faulkner. This short story is included in the work of the 20th century American literature. Biography of author. Name William Faulkner. Place of birth New Albany, Mississippi. Date of birth 25 September 1897. Zodiac Balance. Wife Estelle Oldham. Date 6 July 1962. History of personal life. Author William Faulkner is an American historical novelist. His works are known to have extraordinary power of imagination and psychological depth, making him one of the best novelists in the United States. He also received the Nobel Prize of Literature in 1949. In fact, two of his works entitled A Fable 1954 and The Reverse 1962 have won the Pulitzer Award for fiction. Faulkner was born in Mississippi on September 25, 1080 and 907 to be exact. He rarely attended school consistently until he was in 5th grade. By the time he had graduated from high school, Faulkner left school before graduation so he could work at his grandfather's bank. He also never continued his diploma school because he was too preoccupied with reading and because of his love for the world of pottery. In 1918, the U.S. Army refused to join the army because his weight and height did not meet the standards. So he was transferred to the Canadian Air Force. During his tenure during World War I, 1914 until 1918, he injured his leg in an airplane crash. In 1918, after the accident, he left the Canadian Air Force and returned to Oxford. In 1919, Faulkner entered the University of Mississippi as a special student, but left college to work in New York City. After he tried various jobs and felt insuited, he finally returned to Mississippi to continue his education, which he had left behind. During the period 1926 until 1930, Faulkner published several novels, but none of them were successful in the market. However, in 1931, his novel entitled Sanctuary was selling well in the market. Since then, Faulkner's works have become known to many people. The other literary works of writer, The Sound and the Fury, As I Lie Dying, Light in Ages, Absalom, Absalom, Go Down Moses, If I Forget the Jerusalem, Barn Burning, Sanctuary, Try September, Collected Stories, and Santoris. Synopsis of the story. The story, written by William Faulkner, tells a woman named Emily who has her own drama in her life. The story is very interesting because it has similarities with the life story of a famous poet, Emily Dickinson, with a South American background story around the 1980. In the story, Emily is described as a woman who is very difficult to socialize. This was because Emily's environment at the time still adhered to a patriarchal system. Emily has an extraordinary love for two male figures, namely her father and boyfriend, Homer Baron. In psychoanalytic studies, Emily felt several things that disturbed her psyche: fear of being ostracized, fear of intimacy, and excessive closeness to one parent, father, are the main issues reflected in the story. Fear of being ostracized or fear of abandonment is a feeling of fear that makes survivors feel they do not want to be ignored and abandoned by people who have special meaning for them. This is what Emily experienced. The father's strict character and strong protection made Emily really believe in the protection he gave. This made Emily feel that she had no one else she could trust besides her own father. This got worse when Emily's father died. Emily is unable to accept her father's death, like which Homer Byron, a man who finally managed to enter Emily's world. However, driven by a feeling of fear of being abandoned a second time, Emily then killed the Baron and placed his body in the bridal chamber for years until Emily died. Fear of abandonment makes family a killer. Fear intimacy is the feeling of being afraid to build a close relationship with another person. This is also experienced by Emily. This is initially arose when Emily's father overprotected her, which made Emily herself finally have no trust in other people. This feeling became even stronger when Emily's father died and the Baron was killed by Emily. Emily decides to kill the Baron because Emily feels that only the Baron after his father can understand her. Finally, Emily closed herself off because she didn't want to love and lose the people she loved. This is a form of trauma that Emily has. Oedipal fixation is an excessive feeling of closeness to parents who have a different gender, such as a son and his mother or a daughter with her father. This Oedipal fixation is very visible in the story Rose for Emily. Emily seems to really love her father. The love that Emily has is only for her father. This also makes Emily feel no need to socialize with the people around here or have a special relationship with other men besides her father. The defense carried out by Emily are Daniel and avoidance. Emily's Daniel is to Danny the date that took her father and would take her lover. Avoidance that is done by Emily is to avoid to the people around here. Emily's closeness makes her problem pass without a perfect solution. A bitter life made Emily have psychological problems. Rose for Emily describes how sad it is to live as an Emily who has no support when she is sad. She lived such a lonely life until she did. All of the above made Emily in a state of repression in the unconscious and had to have the defense. Repression and the unconscious can be seen in Emily unpreparedness to accept her father's death and Emily's unwillingness to be left behind by her. All this unpreparedness made Emily finally unconscious and finally killed the Baron and lived with the corpse for a long time. The difference is the personal life of author with his literary works. In my opinion, the difference is between his personal life and his literary work. In this case, the author is William Faulkner. This difference can be seen in the story of personal life of the author. In that section, it is explained that William Faulkner is a novelist who was born in a place in the United States. He never graduated from school because he was still studying. He focused more on reading because he loved literature. He also had enlisted to become a soldier, but failed because his weight and height were not up to standard. William Faulkner's life history is very much different from his work entitled A Rose for Emily. In this one work, he tells of a woman and her days away from the hustle and bustle of society in her life. Analysis characters. Emily Grierson, the main character of the story. Homer Baron, Emily's romantic interest. The narrator, unnamed. Colonel Santoris, the former mayor who remitted Emily's taxes. Mr. Grierson, Emily's father, the patriarchal head of the Grierson family. The cousins, Emily's extended relatives from Alabama, to be Emily's cook and gardener who also acts as her family retainer. Analysis story. A Rose for Emily is a short by William Faulkner which tells about the life of Miss the quirky Emily. The story is narrated from a third-person point of view. It appears that the narrator is on the outside looking in and giving his version of life and the events that led to Emily's death. The combination of past, Emily and future, city or community is widely seen throughout the work. In the plot summary that opens, Emily Grierson, the protagonist, lives a miserable life with her father losing the opportunity to marry, or her future life is followed by the loss of her father, her past. She had no place and no one to connect with, and society ignored her. Losing her social role, she became isolated. She was left alone when she really needed someone, at least a friend. Here comes to change to best friend a man from the lower class, but at least a lover who appears to be gay in the eyes of others, but acts promising towards Emily. This careful series of events, which follow each other, prepares us for the discovery of the murder in his eccentric life. However, it is not narrated chronologically to maintain tension and add tension about the ending, murder and gray hair near the corpse. Surprisingly, the death of the protagonist, which might be the climax in another story, is presented first. The story is narrated from the perspective of the people around Emily, the town, and the town's parents. That's why his death doesn't matter. It is not the climax either. They honor him or carry him as a deity and are separated from his life. The writer continues to use symbolism in the story. We can find a lot of symbolism in this story. Another symbolism is when Miss Emily says it is fallen monument. She is remembered as the aristocrat, noble, dictator, and arrogant of the Southerners who followed imperialism and was usually a landowner. And the last symbol is Miss Emily's necrophilia, necrophilia, which is the symbol of the Old South. Miss Emily's necrophilia is a metaphor for her refusal to change. Message of the story. We can find a lesson in Miss Emily's death Daniel, which is taken as the truth, with standing the death of her father and then Homer Baron. This is shows us how the people are always the need. that acts as if they have not forgotten the sadness, anger, and pain that will hurt them. Faulkner, using necrophilia, wanted to show bitter life is and what we will do to overcome it. Okay, I think that's all my review about Rose for Emily. Thank you and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.